Hello, data folks. Thanks for joining me again on this channel for data and IT professionals. Based on all your feedback, today I'm excited to announce a new series on data modeling. It's absolutely no secret that data is the most valuable digital asset in today's world. Just look around. Every app you use, Instagram, Netflix, Amazon, and every business decision at companies like Walmart, Apple, and Uber is clearly driven by data. But here's the thing. Poorly designed data can hold an organization back in the race against its competitors, slowing its growth, and even lead it to lose its position in the market. That's exactly why everyone involved in designing and building these data systems, data architects, engineers, and analysts, needs a rock-solid foundation in data modeling. They need to understand the core principles and, most importantly, know which data platform and modeling approach to choose for the business case at hand, so we don't end up making costly mistakes. All right, let's jump in and try to simplify this complex topic. When people talk about data modeling, you'll hear all different things. Some people focus on database or platform types, like relational, columnar, document, key value, graph, and so on. Others put the spotlight on the step-by-step workflow of creating data models, starting with a conceptual model, moving to a logical model, and finally creating the physical model. And then there are those who emphasize schema design within the database or data platform, like Inmon and Data Vault style normalized schemas, or Kimball and one big table style denormalized schemas. So, why there are different perspectives? And what exactly is data modeling? Data modeling is the process of defining and documenting how data is organized, connected, and stored to efficiently support specific business needs. The emphasis on efficiently and specific business needs is exactly what separates a good data model from a bad one. What's efficient for one business need can be inefficient for another. For example, a data model designed to capture every source data change for audit purposes works perfectly for regulatory or compliance use cases, but can become slow and complex when used for business intelligence reporting. As a data professional or data modeler, you're expected to have a solid understanding of all these terminologies. Let's say you're working on a project and receive the initial proposal or requirement. Depending on the specific business need, you have to decide which database or platform is the best fit for your use case. For example, if you're building a transactional or OLTP system, where data integrity is critical and write performance is prioritized over read performance, then a relational database like PostgreSQL, MySQL, or Microsoft SQL Server is usually the best choice. If your focus is on BI or analytics over massive data sets, where read performance is prioritized over write performance, then a columnar database like Snowflake, BigQuery, or Amazon Redshift can deliver fast, high-performance queries. And if your data is semi-structured or requires a flexible schema, then a document database like MongoDB, Firestore, or Couchbase makes it easy to store, manage, and query that data efficiently. Just these three database types alone cover more than 80% of global enterprise data use cases. And of course, there are other specialized databases for more specific needs. Key value stores for ultra-fast lookups. Graph databases for relationship-heavy data, such as Facebook or LinkedIn social connections or supply chain networks. Time series databases for efficiently handling timestamp data, and so on. Now, let's move forward and talk about the data modeling workflow, a step-by-step process that data modelers or architects follow. Think of it like how an artist creates a painting. At first, he draws the basic outline, then add little more details, and finally complete the picture with all the fine details and colors. That's exactly what happens in data modeling. You start with a conceptual model, which defines the high-level entities and relationships, in other words, the tables and their links. Next, you move to the logical model, where you define entities in more detail, specify their attributes, and outline the relationships between entities. Finally, you create a physical model, which includes database-specific implementation details, such as precise data types, constraints, and performance optimization strategies like indexing, partitioning, and so on. This workflow ensures your data is well organized, consistent, and optimized for its intended use. It also gives data architects, engineers, and analysts with a clear, documented blueprint to implement, maintain, and query the data effectively. Now that we've covered the different types of data platforms and the overall data modeling workflow, the next important question is, how do we actually organize the data within the data platforms? This question is what led to the evolution of several database and data warehouse modeling techniques. This is where a big part of a data architect's or data modeler's expertise really comes into play. Without understanding these modeling approaches, you cannot make correct decisions, such as how to normalize or denormalize your data, how many entities or tables we need, the right level of granularity or aggregation for each table, how to handle ongoing changes in dimensional data over time, and how to strike the right balance between read and write performance. You will need to carefully evaluate your business case using the principles of these approaches and design your data model, your CDM, LDM, and PDM accordingly. At a very high level, the Inmon approach focuses on designing a fully normalized enterprise data warehouse first, and then building data marts on top of it as needed. The Data Vault approach prioritizes loading all raw data into the data platform as hub, satellite, and link tables, and modeling it later with other suitable approaches as your requirements emerge. The Kimball approach takes a more practical and simpler path. It focuses on designing denormalized analytics-ready tables in star or snowflake schemas that directly meet downstream requirements. And then there's the one big table approach, which I like to call a rebel method. In this, for each use case, we create a massive, fully denormalized table with all the facts and dimensions pre-joined. Each of these design patterns has its own pros and cons, and like I mentioned earlier, what's efficient for one business need can be completely inefficient for another. It's also worth pointing out that in many projects, you'll see multiple layers of data, with each layer following a different data modeling approach. To really master these design patterns, you need a solid understanding of data normalization forms, along with practical project examples or use cases. That's exactly what we'll cover in our upcoming videos. That's all for today. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with our latest content. Most importantly, please share this with your friends. It truly helps us bring more such videos your way. Thanks for watching.